The #1 request from viewers on our website and on Facebook, show us how to make a bandsaw box. So here we go. Be sure to check the web extra on how to tune up your bandsaw. Silicon steel blade, 1/16 per inch, 1/4 inch, and I need to plug in the bandsaw. Be sure to read, understand, and follow all the instructions that come with the tools and products you use in your wood shop. And to that end, I need a hearing protection, which is right here. These are safety glasses. I take the block of wood, I make sure there's no more than 3/8 of an inch gap between the bottom edge of this and the block of wood. And now it's all plugged in, dust collection's on, let it come up to speed, and I'll make a cut out of a piece of walnut. And I give that blade time to carry away the sawdust, so don't want a straight cut. I want to use the curves to make the box more graceful in my hand. Now I've got some end checks here, need to get rid of those. I want to go down this road. I love to make bandsaw boxes. Okay, notice when I position my hands, it's always down to the table, not up here. Lose too much control. The key thing is to keep the workpiece flat to the table. Now see that? That's dangerous. I'll turn that off and let that come to a stop. And as that's coasting down, let's look at this. This is going to be the front of the box. Got a little check here, but I can work with that. I'll show you how to fix that later. I always like a straight edge and 3 curved edges on a box. It just looks better that way. And now that blade has come to a stop. I'll take that scrap right out of there. Don't be reaching in to close quarters with that blade running. Now I have to look at what's going to be the top and what's going to be the bottom. That's a solid piece of wood. If I make this the top, I can get rid of a couple defects. So I want this solid surface down. I want to be careful, that could rock, so I'm going to make sure I keep this back edge flat to the table securely, and I'll crown the top of the box. You don't want that to rock forward ever. I'll let that come up to speed. So now, here we go. Hand position is everything. I never put my fingers in the plane of the blade. Okay, so that's good right there. So that's a really cool top. Now I'm going to slab off the bottom. Again, I want a good solid foundation down. I don't have drift on my bandsaw because I tuned it up the right way. And when I take strap off, I reach around behind the blade safely, not left and right of the blade. So now I've got the top of the box right there. This is the bottom. So I need to slab off the bottom. I'm looking for the most solid part of this square down to the table. And now that's my bottom. I save that. Not on the floor, that'd be an ankle buster. So that's the bottom. I need to make the top. So I can swing that around like that and cut out the graceful top, making sure that I keep this flat to the table and secure to the table. My hands are like clamps that are holding this workpiece securely to the table at all times. I do not want this workpiece to rock ever. And my fingers are safely out of the plane of the blade. That's my lid. Now the next thing I'm going to do is core this. So to core this, oh, I take that back. I'm going to take this rough straight edge off the back. And some folks go, Scott, I've got really bad grip. Okay, now again, I have to turn that off since that came off, but that's a perfectly straight cut, freehand, no drift. So, with that being said, I like everything about the shape of this. I have to core it. Now when I core it, that's still running. I'll let that come to a stop. I want to make my entry cut into the growth ring area. That's called the end grain. Okay, why? Because when I glue it up and sand it down, that virtually disappears. Now that stopped. There goes the scrap. Okay, so now, entry cut into the end grain. I'm going to make that there and core this out. Let's see, I'm going to actually put it right there. But since the workpiece is smaller now, I can lower the guide block assembly. That does two things. That makes the blade more rigid, gives me more control, but it also guards the cut, meaning you don't have exposed blade above the workpiece that fingers could stray into. Always thinking about safety here. So I'm positioning my hands to the table, coming in to clamp it down. Workpiece is never touching the blade when you turn it on. That'd be bad. It could kick back. I want the wall thickness to be about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, with a 1/4 inch blade. You don't want it to be super thick, because if it is, it just doesn't feel graceful in the hand. So I swing that tight radius turn. On the end grain, I can make it about 3/8 of an inch in thickness. End grain's a bit more delicate. The whole time I'm making these cuts, I'm keeping that workpiece flat to the surface. And when you make a turn, you want to keep cutting to give that blade somewhere to go. So you can see my fingers are not out here in the plane of the blade, but off, out of the plane of the blade. As long as you keep your hands and fingers out of the plane of the blade, it would be possible to cut. Okay. I always control that workpiece so at all times it stays flat to the table. And then here I come all the way around and cut out of the cut. I don't break out of the cut. And I can put a little bit of side pressure with this center block, the core, on that blade to get it to come to a stop. It's like a break. Okay, there we go, and then I back out of the cut. You never back out of the cut with the blade running. Now there's the core of the box. Final thing I have to do is cut this piece off. You'll see why when we do the glue up. So that's rock solid, that's my clamp. It's a good idea when the workpiece would get smaller than this, or if it were to rock, use wooden hand screw clamps close down on the workpiece to keep it securely to the table. But I can secure that. I'm in good shape. Okay, but I have to raise that assembly. It was just down just a hair too low. So I'm going to take this cut off very carefully, very thoughtfully, contain it as I first start this cut. Watch my fingers here. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do this so that you can see a great technique. This is a wonderful way to make cuts on smaller work pieces, worth its weight in gold. There we go. And now, the core, I save that, and I would use this clamp, hand screw clamp, to cut it out into another bandsaw box that would nest inside. But that's for another day. Now over to the workbench to do the glue up. To do the glue up on a bandsaw box, here are all the pieces. That's the locking core. This is a core that will become another box, and that's the bottom. So the first step is to glue the entry cut shut. And with thick viscosity super glue, in this case Titebond, I go to the inside edge and I lay a nice steady bead of thick viscosity glue, easy for me to say, right on that entry cut on the inside. And I let gravity and capillary action, by exercising that joint, work that glue down that joint right there. And then what I can do, once it's exercised, and I'm being gentle, I don't want to split it out, I want to make sure that this is flush to the outside edge. Otherwise, when I put the parts together, it will not work. You'll see why in a second. Now, I use the activator right on top of the glue, and I'm holding it shut. And while that's curing out, I'm counting to 15. And the other thing I do is I get some sawdust over here. That's very important. And once I hit 15, I can let go. Okay, and we're there. That's cured out. Now, a lot of people like to glue the bottom on right away. I don't. I put the lid on, and I flip it over. And now with the lid flipped over, I can take this core that was cut off and drop it right in there so it's perfectly indexed. And it looks like that edge has been chiseled all the way around. So now what I do is I put the activator on the bigger of the two pieces, and it will evaporate very quickly. I put the thick viscosity super glue liberally on the smaller of the two work pieces, like this. And now I'm just about ready to do the magic, which is that drops in like that. You want to do everything the right way. And because this glue cures so quickly, you want to move out and adjust the walls to index that core to lock the lid uniformly all the way around. Then I can ease that off and gently pull that tightly together, and I walk it around. So I get a good tight bond, and it looks like a chiseled edge. And I'm counting to 15. Almost there. And now what I can do, that's there to stay, beautiful. I can bring the walls back on, and I reposition the bottom of the box on there using the grain to line and the profiles to line all the parts up. So the activator, or accelerator, some people call it, goes on there on this piece, and then the thick viscosity glue goes on this piece. Remember, I did spray the catalyst over that entry cut right there, so the clock's ticking. I have seconds, literally, to line this piece up and use my fingers to index the edges so I get a perfect tight fit. Now let's say this piece of wood wasn't completely dry. We can put that in a paper bag, and on the defrost setting only, meat defrost, crunch paper bag around that for 1 minute. And the bag stops the wood from being shocked as you turn the microwave oven into a kiln, only on the 1 minute meat defrost setting. The other thing is, if you do get some glue on your fingers, take some sawdust immediately onto that surface that has the glue on it, and the glue comes right off because it likes the sawdust more than it likes your skin. Now let's see how this all turned out. Voila. The good news is I did not glue the lid to the box. That can happen. And we have a beautiful bandsaw box ready for a bit of sanding and then the finish of the choice. What do you use these for? Gift boxes of all sorts. Final tip, thick viscosity glue, squeeze the air out of the bottle, put the keep cap back on, and the glue doesn't get hard on the tip, so you never have to replace tips. Then store it upside down. That makes sure that you have that nice and airtight. I can keep super glue for 2-3 years that way. Hey, go have some fun.